guys, welcome to Real Life School Podcast, and today we have an incredible episode talking about trials, trauma, and triumph. I have this incredible human being, Will, here with Bowtie Living, and his testimony, his stories, his ups and downs. I mean, cancer, divorce, real estate in 2008, and just how he overcame it is powerful. So I'm really excited to have him here, and Will.
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I love what you do. I love what you stand for. I love the name of what you do because Real Life School is what so many of us could have used. But so how did I get here is a really long story, and I'll try to kind of condense it. I was, I don't want to say I was raised in it, but, take you way back. But I was raised in a small town and in a family that really was, in today's environment, would be called dysfunctional. There was no love, there was no affection, there was no attention. I mean, I've been basically on my own since I was about 10 or 11 years old, making my own money, doing those things. And it was, I have a lot of gratefulness towards that because it really gave me some great life skills. Yeah. But at the same time, I was missing something. And my story is I grew up literally feeling like I was trash. Like that was the word I associated with. And then I found alcohol when I was 16 years old, which is late for some, early for others. And I was literally, from the first drink I ever had, I was an alcoholic. I never drank safely, never drank responsibly. Wow. And that was my whole life. And I didn't get sober till I was in my early 50s. So that gives you an idea. It was a long time. And in that time, those 36 years, right? I mean, I grew up, and then in those 36 years, there was a lot of really good times too.
Sure.
I really did. I was living the American dream. But then in the early, in the 2000s when the recession hit, 2008, 2009, I lost a job, and there was a period of about 6.5 years where I lost, I couldn't work. I was out of work for like 3.5 of the 6.5 years.
Yeah. And
literally lost everything. Unfortunately, and I just built it all up over 15 years. Unfortunately for me, I had tied my identity to all those things.
Oh wow, man!
It was who I was. It was who I was as a father, as a husband, as a brother, as a son. It was all those things. I was tied into that, and I lost it, and I lost myself.
Identity, man.
That's and it was tied to the wrong things, unfortunately for me.
Yeah.
And that's where my drinking really progressed into what I will say is true alcoholism, and it got to a point before I got sober in 2017. To where I could not drink.
You mean you would just have one drink and you just couldn't stop?
I couldn't stop, and I couldn't even keep myself from having one drink. Like yeah. I had to have it. Yeah. Every day, and at the very end, it was every day, all day.
There's a lot of people that sit in the same situation right now. Mm-hmm. That I mean, that's why they have their organization, AA, right? And a message for you guys, like this dude did it. You've been sober since 2017? Yeah. Dude, that's incredible, man. That's incredible. That's why we have you on the show. Okay, keep going, man. Hit it.
Well, but 2017 was the year that changed my life. And now I think it's sober, and my sobriety date is November 15th of 2017. So that's late in the year. But 2017 was a really pivotal year for me. And I'll just kind of give you some, I was going to say highlights, but they're not. They're lowlights, quite honestly. I got sober January 1st. I did an at-home detox, and I was sober for a little while, and then it was kind of crazy. I woke up one day, February 28th to March 4th was my emotional bottom in my life. I had had other bottoms, and I've had things happen since then, but that was probably the lowest I'd ever been.
2017.
2017.
Got it.
From February 28th to March 4th. And I literally woke up on February 28th scared I was going to take my own life.
Like suicide or drink yourself?
Oh, no, I was done. I was done. And I didn't want to drink anymore. I tried to get help, and I won't go into the whole story, but the system failed me, unfortunately. And so the next 5 days, I literally spent doing everything I could not to take my own life for 5 days. And finally on March 4th of 2017, I drove myself to the emergency room and checked myself in because I was afraid I was going to take my own life.
What do you mean? You literally tried everything in those days, those crucial days that sit in your soul. What did you do?
Unfortunately, I drank like all day, every single day. I just drank and tried to forget it all because that was my mechanism I used to escape. Many people have mechanisms that we use to escape. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, you walk around and look at people today. One of the biggest things that we use for escape, unfortunately, it's a great tool, but it's also a bad thing, is our smartphones.
Yeah, man. Glued to
I
them.
mean, I travel a lot, and I see people in the airport, and it's crazy. Now, I'm not saying they aren't a good thing and that they're a great tool to use,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, we've got social media, we've got email, we've got text, we've got instant message, we've got all these different things that pull us away from truly being engaged with our world, engaged with people.
Let me ask you a question. In 2017, when you're going through this stuff,
Yeah.
powerful stuff, life-changing stuff
Oh,
that
absolutely.
that turned you into who you are today, how was it? How was the impact as a dad, as a husband, and your job? Where were you?
Well, so I ended up, I was truthful with my employer and told them, because I couldn't have my phone. I mean, I was in a psych hold. Literally,
Yeah.
they take away your shoelaces, your belts, your
Yeah.
phones. They take it all away because I was going to take
Strip
my own
you to
life.
nothing.
Yeah. And so I had to be honest with all those people. And really, I didn't handle it well. I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
Again, my identity was tied into all these things that I thought were real, but it wasn't real.
Yeah.
It wasn't who I was. And those finally started coming out. The unfortunate thing for me in my story is you think that would have got me sober. And it did for a short period of time,
For a moment.
10 weeks later. So here I am on that week trying not to take my own life. 10 weeks later, a weird series of circumstances. I was on a roof of a home where I was helping the crew. I was managing a crew that was changing the roof, and I slipped and I fell. And when I landed, I didn't fall off the roof, but when I landed, there was a piece of metal flashing that literally sliced my right wrist to the bone. And I looked over and I'd cut my tendons, my nerves, and both my arteries.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And so I'm on the house of a home,
Bleeding out.
bleeding out. Literally, I looked over and, you see it in movies, right, with the blood
yeah.
squirting to
Oh,
the
yeah.
heartbeat. That's
I
what
had
it
a
was
girl
doing.
have her arm ripped off in a car accident when I
Yeah.
got back from deployment, and I had to put a tourniquet. Her arm was literally hanging by the bottom of her thing
Yeah.
in a flipped over truck. So I know the spurting.
Yeah, it was crazy, and thank God that I lived. But the irony in that is 10 weeks prior to that, I wanted to take my own life.
Yeah.
Now I'm on the roof, bleeding out, praying to live.
You're fighting, man.
Yeah.
You're fighting.
Right.
It's very real.
And you'd think, okay, that's awesome. He was sober. I was sober when it had happened.
Sure.
Okay, and I stayed sober for another 10 weeks, but then I relapsed again.
Yeah.
Because I got on pain pills.
Because of the accident.
Because of the accident.
So because of the accident, pain pills, and you're like, I just didn't have the mental strength, moral strength, and you just hit the bottle again.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a lot of people going through the same stuff, Will.
Absolutely.
Like, and it's not just, hey, I want to drink, they fight it. It's usually an escalation that causes them, and then it's just a runaway train.
Yeah. And it's a crazy thing. And so I ended up relapsing, and I went out, they call it going out, right? So I started drinking again, and I was out until November, and then I went to treatment, and that was really, I mean, everybody says, well, do you think it was treatment that got you sober? No, it wasn't. I mean, it was part of my journey.
Sure.
Absolutely, but there's not one thing, and in my journey, my faith is really, really important to me, and I call those years up to that my checkbox sobriety, and I really relate that to life today as checkbox life, because I see many people, and myself can get into this too, where we go through and all we do is check off a box.
Yeah.
And we go through and we're doing all the things that we think we need to do, but are we really engaged in life?
No,
That's
man.
what I love about real life school,
Yeah.
man. I mean, are we engaged with living?
Yeah. People.
Oh my gosh,
Connecting,
yeah.
community.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, man.
Right.
We're running through society like you were talking about in the airport, like everybody's on their phone. It's like I strive in those now uncomfortable situations where you sit next to somebody on the airplane. It's like, I want to know who you are because I'm sitting next to you for a reason.
Right.
It wasn't random.
Yeah. No.
Don't get it twisted. It wasn't random. And I know you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to come out and just say it, but it ain't random. And I love to know who that human being was. So when I met you, I was like, there's something special about this dude. And I want to know who you are. I want to know how you got there. I want to know the lessons learned, because there's other people I know that we can share this moment, and we can tell the world many people are hurting. Many people are going through the same, and I get chills now
Yeah.
talking about it. You don't know the impact you're going to have on your life. You've already impacted my life, right? It's powerful stuff, man. So the alcohol, the father, I'm a new dad. I got a 3-year-old and a year and a half
That's
year old.
awesome.
Yeah, we're sleeping great. I would say my wife would be like,
You're
sleeping great. No, but like, how did that impact you as a husband when you were going through this? How did it impact you as a husband and a father in 2017?
So the hardest part was, again, I had lost my identity, and getting sober. Then I had to really relearn about, number one, who I was.
Yeah.
And the thing about getting sober, regardless if it's drugs, alcohol, sex, food, money, relationships, there's many things that we can be addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that in early recovery that we have to learn, and it looks almost selfish, is I had to learn how to take care of myself first. Because I was never going to be a good father again. I was never going to be a good husband again unless I learned how to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And so to a lot of outside people that may look selfish, but we learn in recovery, and we go through these lessons, and we learn from other people how to live that way.
Yeah.
But it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And I was a liar, I was a cheater, I was a snake, I was all those things, right? Because I was so enthralled with myself that I had to now be enthralled with others, but do it in a way that was healthy for myself. And it took some time. It took very, very honest and vulnerable conversations.
It's convicting, isn't it? And it hurts sometimes.
Oh, it's so hard. But one of the things that I've learned is this lesson of being open, honest, and vulnerable.
Yeah, man.
Because you know what? We're all experiencing hurts. We're all experiencing trials, traumas, obstacles, challenges, whatever you want to call them. I call them knots, K-N-O-T-S, and that's the significance of the bow tie.
I love it.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But I had to really learn how to be that father in a better way, a more authentic way. I had to learn how to be a better husband, better son, better all those different relationships that I had.
That brings up a good point. You're talking about hurt, okay? And I'm out there at the juvenile detention center. I'm out there with after kids programs. I'm helping parents with their kids in their 30s and 40s, trying to get them financially set, real estate set. But a lot of people are hurting mentally. And the thing is that not many people are able or strong enough to say, I need help. Yeah. Because they're a dad, or they're a business owner, or they're an athlete. Any of these people that they place their identity in there, God forbid that identity be above who they actually are, and they say, I need help. Because everything that they place themselves on puts them in this vulnerable position. But I'm telling you, back to your point, you can't help anybody else until you're good. Right. Until you couldn't be a husband, you couldn't be a father until you took care of yourself. Most people think it's selfish, and it ain't.
No,
it ain't. That's called the foundation. That is the rock, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, many people are hurting. Many people have different ways to cope. How did you do it after the checklist sobriety? Right? You did the checklist. Just like many people with the relationships, I just checklist this, checklist that.
Right.
But when you're going through these hardships, life-changing, soul-altering hardships, how did you cope with it at November 2017? What was it like when it turned?
So, the biggest thing was I realized, again, my faith is very important to me.
Yeah.
And I believe in a higher power.
Yeah.
I choose to call that higher power God. But what I realized in that time was that I couldn't do it. You were talking about a lot of people have these hurts. I believe a lot of people, almost all people, we have things, right? But we can't do it alone. We just can't.
We were never supposed to do it alone.
Never.
Ever.
And
that goes back to Genesis 1, man.
Correct.
Adam and Eve, baby. Yeah. It's the truth.
It is the truth.
And you find these people that are isolated. And I'm sure
I was one of them.
Isolation, right? Yeah. He comes to isolate. Yeah. I'm telling you, that's where it turns into a horrible place. And we're supposed to live in community. That's why we're here. That's why we're jamming, dude.
Yeah.
That's why we got invited to the networking event. It's because that is life with purpose, and you don't know your gift, my gift, and partnered, powers combined, whose else's life you can touch or help or boost. That's what this podcast is all about. That's what Real Life School is all about. Helping these people that didn't know or have the tools. Because I'm telling you, school didn't teach this. No. God, no. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So how did you cope with it? It was your faith.
it was definitely, I call it the longest 12 inches in the world is from our brain to our heart.
Yeah.
It truly is. And it's 12 inches, but it's the longest in the world. And when I realized I couldn't do this, that's why I call it checkbox, because checkbox is all in your brain, right?
Sure.
As soon as I realized I had to let it go and put it into my heart.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite paradigms or paradoxes, in recovery is that in surrender, we gain freedom.
Interesting.
And so think about that. When we lay our sword down and say, I'm done fighting, I gain freedom. And then I do it through community. I do it through vulnerability. I do it through openness. I do it. And there's work. Don't get me wrong. There is work that has to be done. I have a 6-step process that I work with people that is actually based on 12-step programs.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of 12-step programs. And I believe in them. I think they will change your life. But I said 12 is a lot, so let's make it easier. No, I didn't. I have an acrostic, and it's bow tie, so each letter has a meaning. But it's the same kind of a process where we go through.
Yeah.
And we really look at, how do I want to become better? How do I want to grow past these things?
Well, go through it. I want to know the 6 steps, dude.
Okay.
I want to do it real quick. We got some time. We got some time.
Well, and I'll do it quick.
Okay.
So it all starts with bow tie, letter B, right? But the letter B is the second letter in the English language, so we got to start with the letter A because it's the first letter.
Okay.
So it's really 7. But A is really awareness. Awareness is, I think, important. And hopefully everyone that's listening to this and watching this understands and comes to that awareness. I want something different. There's more for me out there.
Yeah.
And you get to that awareness and that you can do it, right? And then that gets us right into the acrostic. And B stands for our beliefs.
Okay.
Our beliefs are so powerful. And the unfortunate thing about most of us and our beliefs is many of those beliefs that are subconscious and conscious were ingrained in us before we even had a choice on whether we wanted to choose them. I had mentioned
earlier.
You're
talking about younger kids.
Yeah, toddlers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Infants.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I told you earlier, I thought of myself as trash.
Yeah.
That was a huge, deep belief. I wasn't worthy of anything.
Yeah.
Nothing, not even living.
Yeah.
And so we have to look. As a kid.
10 years old.
My life.
Yeah,
my life was filled that way.
Yeah, and every decision after that was placed on that foundation. I'm trash. Now think about the branches that come from the word trash mentally. Okay, bow tie, B.
So B is beliefs. And then we look at the letter O, and O is about openness.
Yep.
And everybody will say, I'll say, do you like change? Some people will say, yeah, I enjoy change. Some people say, no, I'm not really a big change.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. To be open, you have to be open to change.
Sure.
Because as I had said, Albert Einstein has this great quote about we can't fix the problems with the same brain that gave them to us.
Yeah.
So we have to change that, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be open to wanting to do that, to do the work, to be uncomfortable, to be vulnerable.
Transformation of the mind.
Correct. So that's being open to it.
Yeah.
It has to start there. And then we get into W, and W stands for witness. And witness is we're going to truly witness your life. Look at the things that have happened in your life.
Yeah.
What are your fears? Deep, dark, deep-seated fears you won't tell anybody. Who are you resentful to? Where are you angry? But not only that, we do look at those negative things, and we take that and we witness those with this inventory, but we also balance that with the positive. Because I don't care how bad life has been.
Yeah.
You've got good things in it.
Oh, yeah, man.
There are things to be grateful for.
There is nobody else like Will. There is nobody else like me.
No.
We each have a gift. We don't all have the same time, talents, or treasures, but we all have something special.
Right.
Yeah, man. I dig that.
Yeah. So we witness all that. And we write it down. And then T is we testify to the truth.
Yeah, man.
Because the truth is some of those things we wrote down are true. Some of those are imagined. Some of those are things that we brought into our lives that are not necessary any longer. And we testify to the truth. But it's also a step to where we start healing.
Yeah.
And that healing comes in making amends
Yep.
for the things that we've done. But it also comes in accepting forgiveness, offering forgiveness, and really understanding that all that is in the past and I'm going to live differently going forward.
Today is a new day, baby.
Absolutely.
I woke up and I was like, thank you for another day.
Beautiful day.
All the mistakes, all the lessons learned from yesterday, I get to make it better today.
Right.
It's just a fresh new day, man.
Right.
Okay, I dig that.
Yeah,
I like that.
So that, and then I and E are really how we choose to live.
'Kay.
And I is how I live intentionally.
Okay.
I don't want to be the guy that's walking through the airport with my eyes tied to my phone. I want to be intentional about all the things that I do, all the conversations that I have, all the emails that I send, all of the social media posts that I read and respond to and write.
Yeah.
I want to be intentional about my life.
Yeah.
About my business.
Yeah.
About my profession, whatever it is. I want to live with intention. And now that I've done all this work up to that, all of a sudden I can see who I truly am and start living who I am.
Yeah.
And intentionally. And then the letter E, and I love this, and it's one of my lessons that I love to leave people with, is living with expectancy.
Okay.
Not expectations.
What do you mean?
Please hear that.
Yeah, I want to know what that means. What do you mean?
So living with expectancy is about letting go of the outcome.
You're going to have to explain it.
Literally trust the outcome. So when I live with expectancy, I know and I trust and I have faith that everything is going to be exactly how it's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't mean I like it.
Oh, no.
But I have to be okay with it, and that's living with expectancy. When I live with expectations, that means I want to control it. I want to put boundaries on it, rules, guidelines, all these different things, and I have to let go of that.
Yeah.
And I have to start living knowing that whatever happens, I got sober.
Yeah.
And I thought life is going to be rainbows and unicorns and sprinkles on top of my ice cream, right, every day. And it wasn't. I've gone through a divorce after 28 years of being married. Cancer. I had to walk through a diagnosis of prostate cancer. I had my prostate removed last August. And praise God, I think everything looks good so far.
Yeah.
All the healing's there.
You look good, by the way.
Well, thank you. I've had professional things that have happened.
Yeah.
I just, you know what? But I lived knowing that it's all okay.
It's all going to be cool,
It's
man.
all okay.
This too shall pass.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that. I got to say something about that.
Do it.
So, this too shall pass is such a great thing, and we say that often to people that are down in the dumps, right?
Sure.
They're in the valley and they're in the grime and the mud, and this too shall pass. What we often forget is when we're at the top of the mountain. Think about the top of the mountain, right?
Yeah.
Everything is going good, man. I am on fire. Life is good. I got money in the bank. My relationships are awesome. Everything, my kids are doing good. And when we're there, we're like, this is awesome. Guess what?
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass.
It's like chasing after the wind, man. It is. Isn't it
So
crazy? We lose sight of that too, and it's so I love your philosophy and the bow tie. You always wear it, and
Always.
you wear it well, man.
Thank you.
The thing that I gather from it, and it's often misunderstood, is the word humility, right? I've met people in the upwards hundreds of millions of dollars that you wouldn't even know it. And then I've met people in the upwards of $100 million that they let you know it.
Right.
And I've seen that same characteristic in people in the military. And I've been reminded, well, don't forget that I'm your boss, even though we were the same rank.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting, in my opinion. That type of behavior is disgusting. But what you stand for and what you wear as symbology for how you go through life, given all the hardships, giving all the adversity, overcoming it, and still walking away. Like when you were talking about, your steps and walking through the airport, when we were at that networking event, you can tell when somebody's different.
Yeah.
You can tell when they walk into a room, there's something special about them instead of everybody else that's ordinary. I call people like you extraordinary. People that are inspiring, people that have testimony, people that have worn that T-shirt, some horrible doldrum style T-shirts, but being able to wear a bow tie and wear it proud and just having this just aura about you, man. This is incredible. I want to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
If you couldn't pass on any other lessons after today, 1 to 3 life lessons, given your upbringing, given the trash mentality that you thought was you, or the husband who got a divorce, or the father that maybe was there or wasn't there, and all these adversities, what would be the 3 life lessons? Because there are viewers out there that are sitting where you were 6-7 years ago, and they just want to know, like, how
Yeah.
What is it? What are the lessons learned here?
So, it's a great question. And one of the things that I learned in my journey is there's a great saying in recovery that we're egomaniacs with an inferiority complex.
Okay.
which means I thought I was the most important person in the world, but I didn't deserve anything, right?
Okay.
And so I had to learn that it wasn't about me,
Yeah.
and it's really about other people.
That's
It's
right,
about other
man.
human beings,
Yeah.
and to love on people. You know, the golden rule: treat people like you want to be treated.
That's right.
But to love on others before yourself. And I can do that because I've done that work, right? And I feel healthy in who I am as a man, as a human being,
Yep.
in relationships, in my career, my business. But really start listening to others. Really pay attention. Again, that's that intentionality, but pay attention to what is going on in others. You will learn so much more about life and experience life in such a different lens when you take it off of yourself and put on others.
Yeah, man. It's not about us.
It's not.
It's not about us.
And that's what I love about Andrew's event, right? It's literally about servant leadership.
Yeah.
And it's not about me being me, it's about me helping others.
That's right.
One of the people came up to me there, and she literally walked into the room, came up to me. She said, first thing she said is, "Hi, my name is. How can I help you tonight?" Literally.
Where do you get that? Where do you get that? I mean, you go out into we're in Old Town Scottsdale right now. If we were to go out on the street and a random person walks up to you and says, "Hey, excuse me, real quick, how can I help you?"
Yeah.
You'd look at them like you're like they're what? People don't do that.
But why not?
But we should. But they
Right.
don't.
Right.
Because people are selfish these days.
Yeah.
And the video is here to show you that it ain't about us. It ain't about how successful you are financially. It doesn't matter how long you've been married. It's about other people. It's about, first and foremost, for me, everybody's got a gift. Everybody's got a purpose.
Amen.
And we have an identity issue like I have never seen before. And I travel from poverty, drug, alcohol organizations to where people are trying to find their identity, which it used to be in the bottle, and they're trying to soul search. My job is to help you find it.
Yeah.
So this is powerful stuff. So one, the lesson learned is it's not about you, humility.
Absolutely.
Secret
Absolutely.
sauce. How can I help you? She walked up and
love
did
it. Yeah. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Wow.
Number 2 is, as I had mentioned before, as part of the steps, is really letting go of the outcome.
Okay.
You know, it sounds easy, but really put it into practice.
Okay.
You know, I took a big leap of faith and I left corporate America. I've tried to do my business 2 other times, excuse me. This is the third time. And people say, "Well, you failed." No, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm a failure. Doesn't mean it failed. It just wasn't the right time or the right place.
Right.
And so even in my new business, I have to let go of that outcome
Yeah.
and know that doesn't mean I don't take action. And I want people to hear that. I still have to take action all day, every day, right? But I have to let go of the outcome of what's going to happen, because what's going to happen is going to happen,
That's right.
right? Now, I can move needles in that, but there are so many things that are out of our control.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
So
it is.
letting go of that outcome.
I call it a partnership, but another podcast for another day.
Awesome.
The third lesson.
And the third one is, you know, life is a 4-letter word sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard. It can be really, really hard, but it also can be really, really awesome.
Oh yeah.
So love the journey.
Yeah.
Just love the journey. There is again, this part of letting go of the outcome, but it's truly just a journey. And let's love it all.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the indifferent.
So you bring up a topic that we could go for weeks. We could go for weeks. This life aspect. And like I said, there's a lot of people hurting out there. It makes for a fantastic story. And here's my tie-in. What I try to do on an individual level that I can't really, it's hard to make people do what you already know is in the best interest of them. But during this thing called life, what's worked for me has been a journal.
Yeah, that's great.
I read a book when I was in college, going through some wild adversity times, lost my license, like driver's license for a second time. Humble pie. I've been in many seasons of my life where I've had to hit rock bottom.
Right.
Humble pie.
Right.
Right. This too shall pass. Well, thank God it passed. But it was called The Last Lecture, and it was about this man that had cancer. You know what I'm talking about because I can see your reaction.
Yeah.
And he knew that he had limited time with his family, with his kids specifically. And it was about him, the name of the book, Last Lecture, and how he wrote about how he viewed his kids. And I don't want to cry here because it's so moving. I started journaling because I didn't know when I would have kids. I got a story from when I was in high school, but as I knew one day I would have a family, and I just didn't know if I was going to be stripped from this earth early or not. I shouldn't be here, and neither should you.
No.
And that's why this is so beautiful, is that this life aspect, we forget the mountain peak tops that when we get up there, and we forget, some of us forget the doldrums, the deep dark valleys. And I have been able to make a journal of it, because if my time comes, at least my kids will know who I am. It's powerful stuff, this life. To your point, man, you got to enjoy it. And it seems like the identity issue and the humility issue, and they're all tied together these days. You don't see somebody that's just like, hey, I'm going through a divorce, I got cancer. It takes somebody special and humble to do it. But there's other people that need to learn, like, it's okay to talk about it, because there's going to be another person that's going to be like, I've been there. Let me help you through it. We need battle buddies. You need partnership. Right. You need community, right? Man, 3 life lessons, man. It's not about you. Letting go of the outcome and enjoy life.
Yeah. Yeah, because remember, where do the farmers plant their crops? At the top of the mountain or in the valley?
I don't know. Trick question, man.
In the valley. In the valley, because that's where they grow.
Yeah.
So it's in those times. One of my favorite Willisms is finding joy in the struggle. Because when I am in a place where I'm struggling with whatever it is, it doesn't matter. When I'm struggling and I can still find joy, I'm not talking happiness.
Sure.
I'm talking joy, peace, serenity. When I can find that in the struggle, I know I'm good. Because that's what life is. Life is not it is filled with ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's never promised that we're going to have a perfect life.
No.
Some people you might think do. I'm here to tell you, they don't.
No.
They don't.
Yeah. It's not supposed to be peachy.
No. Because if we didn't know the struggle, we wouldn't know joy.
Yeah, you would have no reference.
Correct.
Yeah. You'd have no reference.
Right.
That's what makes people ordinary vice extraordinary. And I choose to surround myself with people that are extraordinary. I mean, you never know the impact you're going to have on somebody else's life. So, a recap, man. Just a recap. Somebody that thought of himself as trash at 10 years old. How do you see yourself today?
You know what? I see myself of value. That I have value.
And you are.
Thank you.
And you are. 100%. Lessons learned, man. It's powerful stuff to have somebody like you in their life, that in the networking environment as well. You are special, and you certainly aren't trash, man.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that we're able to get you on the podcast here. And it's just for a lot of the viewers, you may look at somebody as though they may have it all figured out, and they could be hurting on the inside. And I have a feeling we're coming up in this season where it's our responsibility for the people that have worn the T-shirt to ask them, maybe on the side of the street today.
There we go.
How can I help you? What do you need? And how can I help you? That's really my takeaway from this is that's what it sums it all up. I mean, the people that have been beaten and broken the most have been the ones that had the greatest impact in society. Truly.
Absolutely.
I mean, how else would they have a reference? How else would they know how bad things were without being beaten, broken, told all these things? It's just powerful stuff.
Right.
Wow. Can you say that Einstein quote one more time?
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but it's basically we can't expect to solve the problems with the same brain that created them.
Incredible, man.
We can renew it. We can change the way we think. We truly can.
We weren't taught this in school.
No.
We were not taught how to handle adversity. It was just like, we're in the hallway, there's a bully, figure out adversity, right? Paraphrase. There's a lot of other things that go on in high school these days. I mean, I went to 5 different high schools this week. It was just insane. But a transformation of your mind, and you are here today to tell them all the adversity, and look at who you are today. Just an incredible dude. And there's a shout out for the sponsors, because this podcast wouldn't be made possible if it wasn't for Will, the bow tie sober guy. He's got an incredible 6-step process. He helps the transformation of the mind into your business. And I just ask, you can see his link in bio and all of these clips, and the podcast is on reallifeschool.com. But Bow Tie Living with Will. Homo Record Project. This is a shout out for my vets. I got plugged in here and I'm able to provide some financial support to these guys. Homo Record Project is a nonprofit where vets that are going through some hard times, they give them a place to live in a nice home for 6 months. And we kind of do a reset. It's a gap filler for the 4-day, 5-day TRS that every military member has to do when they try and give you a good transition from uniform life to civilian life. Let me just tell you, they have failed at that transition. I help veterans every single day, and they're all hurting in one way, shape, or form, trying to find that new identity.
Yeah.
It was placed in a uniform, but they have something special too. Diligent Entertainment, man, huge shout out. Like this podcast we've been shooting here in his studio, and without him and his background, we wouldn't be able to make this podcast possible. Last but not least, Real Life School. My job is to help people one day at a time, one step at a time, and one person at a time. Let me tell you, some days are exhausting. Some days I am very tired. Some days I didn't have the impact that I thought I should. But nonetheless, thank you for being on the show. You're going to have, you'll see this podcast on reallifeschool.com underneath the podcast page, and all of our sponsors. We wouldn't be able to make this happen if it wasn't for you guys. So huge shout out, and we look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care.